So on the scale of 1 to 10, 1 to 10.
10.
There we go.
Hell
Okay.
yeah.
This is Artistry Under Fire. My name is Sir Greg.
And I am Sir Derrick.
We have been chartered by the Queen of England to find India.
Ah.
Take that, Columbus.
Christopher Columbus. Remix.
How are you guys doing? This is Artistry Under Fire.
Welcome.
Welcome.
It's been, what, a little over a week?
Yeah, a little over a week. I guess before we start, please like and subscribe. It helps support our channel. And always with us, you can't see, she's off camera.
The little dog's right there.
She, our sponsor and producer of the show, always making sure that we're doing our job.
Come into the camera.
There we go.
There she is.
Was that a fart?
No, that's the bench.
The bench.
No farting while recording.
Not recording. Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes it happens, but who knows? But I guess this episode
Don't step on my
we were
balls.
talking. We had a list of things that. Oops, she's on the microphone.
Okay,
There we go.
now.
But we, you might want to turn that microphone a little bit more towards your body. Hold on.
Don't throw up the dog. She made a weird fart sound.
Weirdly today at work, it's funny that you said throw up. Kid didn't throw up, but there was this.
There we go.
Mom,
That should be good.
Mom was holding her kid, and the kid was eating something, and the kid just decided to spit out whatever they had in their mouth. Yeah, and she looked at me, and there's this one of my coworkers just looked at me and the coworker, and just left it, just walked away,
It was just like,
and then
nah.
paid and walked away. And that was it. She sees something. People are in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's witnessing the world outside the greatest television screen of all time.
Yeah,
the window.
I'm surprised that the twerking queen is not outside. We have individuals outside of our pool every now and then. We'll be making dinner or food or getting something in the refrigerator, and all of a sudden you just look outside and there's like
Twerk fest.
there's just three or four girls just twerking like.
Sometimes it's okay.
It's their job.
Sometimes it's not okay.
It's so captivating because you just don't see it every day where just random chicks in a pool are just twerking.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not like a bar.
Yeah.
And it's not like a resort pool or something.
You're just like, what is
Just
going
like a Thursday night.
Yeah. Or like a Wednesday morning at like 10.
Hey.
You're like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
Hey, I love it though.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a, it's a sensual thing, but I love that they are just having the time of their lives.
Yeah, well, I mean, they got to practice somewhere, I guess.
I guess.
Why not the pool?
Before they take it to the club.
Push it to the limit.
I'm going to start twerking at the pool.
Yeah. You should just, like, go into the pool, have some scuba gear and just, like, pop up.
Float slowly.
Like in Apocalypse Now, which you still haven't watched yet.
I know.
Well, I mean, I guess Apocalypse Now, talking about Apocalypse Now, we are going to be talking about movies today. We're going to be talking about
film.
The topic of today is what? Oops, sorry, Replay. I want to put you down there. Topic of today, what you saw, I saw, Maxxxine.
Yeah.
And I think we both wanted to talk about horror.
Yeah.
And maybe Maxxxine.
And then we also saw Longlegs.
Longlegs, yeah, we saw
Yeah.
Longlegs. And so I think this is kind of like a maybe part one of possibly many podcasts about horror.
Yeah,
because I'm sure
and then
both
also
of us
different
love
genres
horror.
and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
but horror is almost like. I mean, obviously there's superhero movies and sci-fi movies, but it's almost kind of like a nerdy aspect where you can discuss it's almost like a cartoon.
What's unique about horror
With
movies?
some of them.
What's unique about horror movies for me? It's even if it's bad.
There's a chance of it being like your favorite movie.
Yeah,
ever.
well, that's like that. What was that one movie with the scarecrow or whatever, the Pumpkinhead guy?
Oh,
it wasn't
dude,
Pumpkinhead.
was it Dark Harvest?
Dark
Was that what it's called?
Harvest, yeah.
What was it?
I came home from work one day and I just
Sawtooth Jack or something like that?
I came into your room and it was just on, and I'm like, "What is this movie you're watching?" It almost was like the Hunger Games meets.
It was the 50s.
Like Pumpkinhead.
There's segregation.
Yeah.
And then there was also like the purge going on.
Yeah, the purge and like.
And a fucking demon scarecrow brother dude.
Yeah, and you're just like, what is happening?
Daniel Faraday from Lost.
It kind of was filmed well, but then it kind of wasn't filmed
right.
well. It wasn't acted well, but then at times it kind of was acted well.
I truly enjoyed it, and you never knew when somebody was just going to lose like the top of their dome.
Yeah, because I came in when he was like running in the field, and like the dude's head's getting chopped off from like the nose up, and he's like Johnny or whatever the dude's name was, and then blood just drips down. He falls down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Death in horror is always great.
No, it is. I mean, that's a big aspect. You know, sometimes, especially with like slasher movies, the movie can like suck, but as long as like it sucks in maybe a funny way with dialogue, but you have some like solid deaths.
Well, that's
it's like a 10 out of 10 horror.
Dude, the first thing that comes to mind is the Friday the 13th movies. Like the first one doesn't really have anything to do about Jason.
Right.
He does appear in it at the end.
Yeah.
Sorry for spoilers, people.
Yeah, but everybody.
Yeah.
You either know it or. Yeah.
But then the second one kicks. I always the best part of my favorite part of the whole movie of the first one is that old guy on the bicycle who's like, "You shouldn't be up there."
Oh yeah,
and he's just freaking out. And yeah, they're just a bunch of teenagers. Just young and horny.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It is actually kind of crazy. The first one, they make it seem like, you know, there's this supernatural aspect of this boy that was drowned killing people, and it turns out just to be the mom.
Yeah.
But
then they throw
as far as the
something
first
at the
one,
end,
yeah, with the
where you're like, okay, maybe it is something
they
supernatural.
explain that in a really weird way. I can't remember how they explain a little zombie boy becomes like a 6'5" tank.
Yeah.
I forget what they say.
He somehow grows up and becomes like a demon man.
Yeah, whatever it may. There's different things. Actually, I always liked Jason, like when I was like in 5th grade or 6th grade, starting to learn about horror movies and different slashers and stuff. Jason was always my favorite, just purely based on like his look and some of the scenes I had seen. But then like growing up and actually watching it, for some reason the Friday the 13th movies don't always do it for me.
Well, it's a hit and miss because I remember.
Yeah, some are solid, and then some they'll go some crazy different route.
Last October, this past October, we Teresa and I, my fiance, who soon to be wife in 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. Yeah.
I think like 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Oh no, like 2.5.
Yeah, like 2.5 now. Holy crap!
Ooh.
But we decided to watch all of the Friday the 13th movies, except the only one we didn't watch, well, 2, I guess. There was the one that I think it's Jason in New York, I think was...
when he, like, body hops?
I've never actually seen that.
Yeah, that one, like, Jason, like, is barely actually on screen. It's his spirit.
And then the one that he's, like, in space, like the X or whatever.
Jason X is solid.
Yeah.
That's one of those ones where it's, like... Technically, like, not good, I guess, but dude, he's like a fucking cyborg Jason. There's one scene where, because it's like the future, they're on this ship, and somebody's doing some, like, hologram thing. So there's, like, a T-Rex scene.
There's a dinosaur.
Where it's like a hologram T-Rex in this, like, virtual reality room or some shit. And then I think, if I remember correctly, I think it looks like the T-Rex kills the guy.
Yeah.
And then you see that, like, because the guy's either wearing goggles or something, but Jason is actually there. Well, so, like, you're not supposed to die. But there's little deaths like that are just like...
Well, what's so bizarre is the first one, is just this... I mean, they're all slasher films, but the first one is like... Yeah. It's kind of the original story, actual horror slasher film. The second one, kind of is just a straight slasher. And then, like, when the third, fourth, fifth, like, they
he gets the hockey mask in the third one? Or is it the fourth one?
There's one where I think it might be the fourth or fifth one, and it's almost like a comedy because in the beginning of the movie, there's like this one guy getting bullied, and I think he's like a fat guy or fat. He's like I think he had like black hair or something like that. Fat kid, and I think he's the son, or he's someone related to the. I don't remember exactly. And they bully him, and he just straight up murders a guy with him. I think it's with a machete.
The kid?
Yeah, I think he's probably like 20, 22 he's supposed to be.
Right.
Just straight up murders someone. And he's like, what? It just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then I think, is it the third one? What's his name? Corey Feldman's in it.
Yeah, right. He's in like 2 of them.
And then then there's one where Corey Feldman's
somebody
character grows up.
Yeah.
And there's horror's the one that's what's so unique.
Because they don't they bring in like telekinesis or
something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's some chick has like telekinetic powers
like
with
connected
Jason,
to Jason, yeah,
or something like that, and that's like how he's like alive or something. Or how
right, like that's something with Friday the 13th, which is crazy because like the hockey mask is iconic, but it took like 3 or 4 movies for Jason to even look like Jason.
Well, what's also cool and
like almost
a
third of it is not what you think it is.
It's almost
if you haven't seen
it's almost ridiculous how many movies they make, how many sequels they make. Because horror is the only genre I think that is like that, where there's like 6, 7, 8, 10.
Yeah,
movies,
I mean, like
except Fast and Furious,
which is kind of new for like an action thing. Yeah, and then I guess you could say Marvel movies in a way, but that's kind of a different beast. But yeah,
like
no
Halloween,
horror. They just
Halloween's got to have what, at least 12, if you count the new ones.
If you count the new ones, if you count the 2 Rob Zombie ones,
it's got to be at least 12.
At least 12.
And then randomly the third one is.
Oh.
It's not even. It doesn't have Michael Myers in it. It's like it's the most random.
I get that they originally thought about doing Halloween, like it was intended to be like an anthology franchise, where it's just like all based around the day but different stories. But it's just weird that they would make the third one different.
It's not even close. It's about like a witch
cult? Masks and stuff. I've actually never seen it, but I have seen a lot of people be like, if you remove this as like
just a straight,
not being a Halloween movie, like as
it's
itself,
actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, because you're wanting to see Michael Myers. Like the whole point of actually seeing the movie is Michael Myers.
Like that's probably
and Jamie Lee Curtis.
I don't know how the trailer pitched it. If they pitched it like he wasn't in it.
Yeah.
But you probably saw the trailer and was like, think of how many people went to the theater. And then eventually the credits rolled, and they were like, "Where was fucking Myers?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck was that?" Like, they probably were watching and being like, "This is going to be weird to stick Michael Myers in it." But
well, I remember when we first got.
How many Halloween movies are there?
Oh, you're just gonna look it up right now?
Yeah, I'm curious. 13.
13.
Sweet 13. 13 things. But even
well, so now that we're on Halloween, before we move on to anything, what's your least, if we're not counting the third one, because, I mean, it's part of it, but...
in Halloween?
Of the Michael Myers Halloween movies, when he's in it, what's your least favorite Halloween movie?
I don't think I've actually seen all of them, which is kind of crazy. I've seen 1 and 2.
I own 1 and 2.
1's my favorite. I need to re-see 2, but I have seen 2.
So everyone hates on 2.
Yeah.
I actually love 2.
Really? Yeah, I mean...
I actually love 2. It's literally just the continuation of the first one.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like, oh, it's not as good. I actually love the first one. And I also love...
the first one or the second one?
Donald Pleasance is amazing at it. He's always he was always like he's the devil.
Yeah. It's crazy how he's like almost as iconic as Michael Myers.
He was like in every single one too.
4 is when his mask looked like shit. Right?
Yeah, it kind of got a little.
Dude, they had a couple of those movies where it's just like, how'd you fuck the mask up?
Well, the Rob Zombie one seemed a little different.
The Mask or the movies?
The Mask.
Yeah,
It seemed like it was a little more tarnished and tattered.
I actually kind of liked that look from the first one.
It had some like blackened edges and stuff.
Yeah. Because I mean, the idea was that he was like around for a long time, right?
Yeah, I mean technically.
Yeah. Then the second one, it was just like in pieces. He was just a big bearded dude the whole movie.
I mean, I think my least favorite one was what was the one? Halloween 2000.
I haven't seen that. I need to see like
that one. Just kind of
I need to see like 5 through
the opening scene. Just kind of you don't know why they even made the movie, but of recent
Jamie.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
But of recent, I actually of the new 3, the trilogy that they made, the second one of the new ones. I was not a big fan because it kind of turned into like a comic book, where it was almost over the top comic booky. Like it almost tried to make it humorous.
Yeah.
To the point where, and it just didn't have that Michael Myers feel, Halloween feel.
Yeah. No, that was definitely almost like the Hobbit movies, because I think it was just supposed to be 2 movies.
And then they threw a third one in.
Then they threw a third one in, and really like halfway through that movie, because we were talking about it the other day.
Yeah.
The first half of Halloween Kills with like the flashback shots and stuff and all that. That shit was solid. It was really solid, and then it hits like a halfway point where almost none of that shit matters.
And then Anthony Michael
like
Hall
you said, people are
in.
like unrealistically stupid and crazy. And I think if you just cut it from that point, remove like 40 minutes from the third one, and just piece it together through like 1 or 2 more scenes in the middle to make it cohesive, that would have been a good movie. Because I think they explained, I mentioned in the third one, they kind of talk about like the evil being passed or whatever and making it kind of supernatural.
With the kid being
I heard that they kind of said that about the second one, that like the theme was that just like Michael Myers' evil presence like turned the town evil, and kind of like they're also the villain. Like it was one of those things like when you see some of these movies, horror usually gets a big pass where you're like, sure, I'll fucking take it. Like that was fun to watch. But any movie where like the director needs to come out and like talk for 20 minutes explaining what it means, it's like then you
miss the point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
like why'd you keep your little secrets to yourself?
I mean, as a kid, for me, watching horror as a kid, it was like the perfect culmination of everything. Mm-hmm. It had violence, scares, hot chicks, and boobs.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah. And usually
there was like
raunchy humor or something, yeah.
Yeah, there was always like the horny teens, and then if you had sex, you got killed, or if you did this, you died. There's all those tropes of the couple that has sex, they're going to die.
Right.
The virgin always lives.
Which is why I got the tattoo, but probably my favorite horror movie, just because I feel like it does it perfect, is the first Scream.
Where they kind of like make fun of the horror tropes.
Makes fun of it while still being good
and being
unique.
And being a good horror movie.
Yeah. And then, honestly, I like Scream 4. I like the new Scream movies. But, like, I like the first Scream movie. And then all the other ones, I think, are, like, not that great.
I was having a conversation.
The original trilogy gets kind of ridiculous.
I had the conversation.
It gets a lot of ridiculous.
Dude, these 2 lizards are, like, just going at it with doing
the bob?
The little bob thing. I just keep... there's
They must be mating.
They must be mating.
I think that's a female behind it.
Watching nature. Just kind of like how when you recorded that spider murdering another spider.
Yeah, the fucking
National Geographic
spider
caught on
fight.
camera. Dude, that was insane. I had no idea you had... That's a horror movie in itself.
Right. Dude, yeah. Oh, God. That creeped me out watching, but I couldn't turn away. One time, I was on a porch in Ohio, and I recorded 2 spiders fighting over, like, a mosquito. There's a mosquito in a net, and these 2 spiders, pretty good size, were just fucking,
and then there was one moment where it went, and it was dead.
And it was dead, yeah.
and then it went back to eating the fly.
Yeah. The fucking, what, spoils go to the victor, or to the victor the spoils?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they said?
Something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the Scream movies. I like watching new Scream movies.
Yeah.
Because I like the Ghostface killer, but like they do a good job of making the Ghostface killer really cool until all the movies after the first one. The reveal, you're always like, I mean, you're not supposed to think they're cool, like, because that's kind of even in the first one. They're kind of losers, like Matthew Lillard when he's like, "Are you gonna tell my parents?" Like, it's like, oh, you're a fucking loser. You're not a fucking super demon or something. But I feel like the reveal, it's always like, all right, and then the last part, you're kind of like, this was dumb. Yeah. But that first part where it's mysterious and like, it's a clumsy killer. It's like they made the point that I was like, it's the first slasher that you see like trips over shit and like.
Well, what I always loved about the Scream movies is and even with Longlegs, if we're going to talk about Longlegs later, there's that element of mystery and almost like a detective story where you're trying to find out and figure out who is doing it.
Right.
And
it pairs really
it adds another layer to it.
Yeah.
Like, as we were talking, I think if we're going to Longlegs really quick, because you were saying Longlegs reminded you of Silence of the Lambs, and it had many aspects of Silence of the Lambs, but I actually think Silence of the Lambs is a thriller with horror aspects.
Yeah.
It's a detective story. It's a detective thriller with horror aspects, while Longlegs is a detective horror movie with thriller aspects.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No, I think that's correct. It's,
Nick Cage was so good.
I think the simple way you said it was like, Silence is a detective story that's also a horror, where Longlegs is a horror that's also a detective story.
Because it has supernatural aspects.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Nicolas Cage was so good. Just such a crazy role, but the movie being like good.
His makeup. Well, the opening scene. I mean, scene you only see
his
half,
mouth.
Yeah,
dude, I fucking jumped so hard when he's like, ah! Like, just, and then it just immediately cuts. It's just like, it was just such like a quick like, Jesus. I think that movie did a really good job of just like, because I probably give it most credit to the cinematography, or like how long they would, like what they focused on the camera and how long they would hold it. Because even when things weren't like super crazy going on, they did a really good job of making you just like feel slightly uncomfortable.
Well, what I loved about it, and I don't know, because I don't know much about the director. I think I looked up that he is an actor, and I think this might
be his first?
One of his first movies, or his first, like that, or his first movie. And I could totally be talking out of my ass with this one, because there are directors that aren't actors that have very long takes, but I wonder, because what I noticed in that movie, and I always appreciate movies. The Witch is an example. Even Pearl, where there's that 7-minute.
Oh yeah.
Where the camera's just on her for like 6-7 minutes.
And she has that whole like monologue.
Yeah. I love a slow, drawn out, like that. Longlegs was a slow, drawn out movie, and it allows the tension to build and build, and then sometimes it will cut right at the right moment, and then sometimes it will cut in such a awkward spot, but it takes you, the next scene, it will take you to such a bizarre world, especially that when they would cut to Nick Cage in the, again, that one we won't spoil as much, but when he's in the basement of the house, and he's just sitting there staring into oblivion, and it'll cut back to something else. But it threw me off, that opening scene, the second scene where they have, I think they have like the they have like a sort of like a meeting, and then hey, we're gonna go door to door and
oh yeah,
not,
and she's like, this one.
It's like, this is the one, and I'm like, wait, what? What? And then she had like, it almost seemed like psychic powers, and it kind of reminded me of those old horror movies from the 70s, like Deep Red by Dario Argento. The opening.
I still need to see any of his movies.
That movie. So I love Suspiria so much.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a mystery horror movie, Deep Red.
Mm-hmm.
And what's so shocking is that the answer to who it is or what it is right there in front of you. You just totally missed it. And that's what's insane about the movie. Because then it goes... I'm not going to say anything because you need to watch it. We got to watch that. And that we got to review that movie. That movie is a movie to review by itself.
Yeah.
Just the cinematography. Again, it's dubbed because it's Italian filmmaker. Yeah, but great freaking movie.
I don't mind watching it foreign with subtitles. Is that out there?
Which one?
There's the original audio with subtitles.
I think it's dubbed.
It's just kind of like how it translated.
Yeah, well, there was like a stretch. I had like a stretch of just Italian horror films from the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, I need to dabble in that field. I never have, but I hear it's
They
crazy.
are insanely unique.
Yeah, I know they are. I also know... Is it Argento or is it all of Italy where they like doing eyeball shit?
I think it's pretty... Well, I shouldn't say pretty, but a lot of Italian films are all about the eyeballs.
Yeah.
Or like something with the face.
Yeah.
Or being stabbed in the throat or something.
Right.
But the beautiful thing about Argento movies in particular is the blood
is like vibrant red.
It's vibrant red.
Yeah.
it's so red. It's almost like a like this like red.
Yeah.
It's not even. It doesn't look real at all. But it's so. I love it.
I've seen clips and stuff,
and it always is like just dripping down their face.
Uh-huh.
But what is your thoughts on, since we're talking about different characters? Were you ever a big fan of? Because I don't know if I've ever heard you talk about. Freddy Krueger.
I was just thinking I wanted to bring that up.
Krueger?
I had, for the longest time, I feel like maybe I had seen him, but I owned the first one. I had seen it, and I was like, cool. Then I remember I saw the remake, which it didn't have the fun aspects, but I enjoyed seeing it in theaters. I saw that, but actually, I don't know, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, I sat down and watched them all. I fucking love them, especially for practical effects and I like all of them.
Well, the first one's one of my favorite movies of all time.
The first one's good. The second one, it's a very interesting franchise. How they did it. Because the second one was strange. It almost doesn't count. But I really like some of the shots in it. And they, what did they say? It was I think the second one, it's kind of known to be an allegory to AIDS or something like that. Have you seen it in a while?
I've seen 1 through 4.
They say something about homosexuality or it's a metaphor.
I've seen 1 through 4, and
that the guys Freddy Krueger's
3 and 4. It's been so long since I've seen them. I don't remember much.
Is 3 Dream Warrior?
I think it might be.
Yeah, that one's kind of that one's fun. The cool thing about the dreams is you can do fucking anything. And it still feels kind of grounded in a weird way.
That's kind of where a lot of movies, I know when they do time travel or multi-universes, where they can, bend time, realities, all that stuff. With dreams, there's literally no rules because you can just wake up and you're back in reality. And
really the only rule they have, I mean, they got kind of a couple.
Some of the things
but if you die in your dream, you die in real life. And then if you wake up while holding him or something,
he comes to the
in.
real world.
Yeah.
What I love about that movie, and I remember because you're watching it, you see like a super young Johnny Depp. The beginning of the movie, there's not a whole lot going on. I mean, the opening scene, I think, I forget. Was there in the first one? Was there an opening
Like
scene
an
where
opening
he was
murder?
where he was where Freddy was kind of in a dream, but then they immediately they wake up and they're in the world. But it's when that one chick is being chased by Freddy Krueger, and then she's being like almost like
dragged around
on wires.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did that.
I think it was a rotating room.
Was it? But how did they do it where she was floating? She was floating.
Right, I don't know how they did
but
that.
I know I think I've seen the
a
rotating
long time ago. I think I watched a documentary on it.
And then I remember the Johnny Depp where it gets sucked in, and
in the bed.
And then I do know that was an upside down room,
and then they let it go,
and they just poured it in like a truckload of water.
Yeah,
that movie. When I saw it, I think I was 14 or 15. Dude, I was blown away by that. But all the effects, everything, and it even remember the long arms.
Yeah.
It was so creepy. But my favorite scene is the scene where she falls asleep. She's just like, and she's in class, and she looks around, and everyone is just like this. And the teacher, I think, is like reading from a book, and she's like, and and then she turns and
the body bag.
And then she walks out, and the body bag like sits up, and I think says something, and then back down, and then air is dragging the body, and then you just see this trail of blood.
Yeah,
that was my favorite thing
I've
ever seen.
So good.
And then you see the one girl who just like.
Yeah, I need to rewatch the whole thing.
Because I think she bumps into the girl who actually is like Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
And then it randomly turns into like a Three Stooges movie for like 5 minutes at the end there.
Oh, yeah. When they're running around the house.
Yeah, and then...
like, oh!
And then they throw that
with the marshmallow steps or whatever. It
was like Home Alone, Three Stooges.
Yeah.
And then they end the movie, and then there's that last scene where you're just like, what?
When they pull the fucking
the mom.
Like dummy. It's like an obviously like fake dummy that's just like she gets in the Freddy car or whatever.
Yeah, and then the convertible top comes up.
I like all of those, and especially like the crazier they get, they just do more practical effects, and like even though it's not as scary, it's still fun. But a really cool one in that. And since I mentioned also Scream,
they're all fun. All horror movies.
Because Wes Craven, but the really interesting one was New Nightmare.
Oh, the new one?
No. It's the last one.
Oh, the last. Yeah, okay.
When they bring back the original cast, and like the first movie was actually a movie, and they're playing the actors.
See, I never saw.
Oh, you got to see that one because it's kind of like. Meta. It was like kind of his first time dabbling in meta horror, because then he went on and made Scream, which is like the most meta horror movie ever. But in New Nightmare, they're filming a sequel to Nightmare on Elm Street. It's got like almost the entire original cast, and
minus Johnny Depp.
Minus Johnny Depp. But Robert Englund's playing Robert Englund. And everybody knows him for playing Freddy. And I forget how they explain it, but there is like a dream demon, and it's like offended. So like they all start getting attacked by not Freddy, but he looks like Freddy. Yeah. Kind of. But that was like a cool, usually like, the last 2 or 3 movies in a horror franchise.
Well, that's what
really sucks, but Wes Craven came back for that. And it's like, it's almost like its own. I mean, it is technically not part of the whole thing, but it's good. Like it's a standalone in its own way. But you need to know the franchise.
What's so crazy about horror movies, even if they're like really bad, sometimes they have these cool premises, like you're just saying, and other movies that maybe not even be horror will take that premise and expand on it, and then all of a sudden you get like I'm trying to come up with like an example of one. I heard this story, and I don't think it's true, but I think there was a Donald Duck episode or some like a Donald Duck short where it was basically kind of the, and I don't think Christopher Nolan got this at all. I'm not saying he did at all, but I read an article saying someone claims that Christopher Nolan just stole this short of Donald Duck, and I guess it has something to do with dreams or something.
To make Inception?
Yeah, and it was basically Inception.
Well, there's a couple things, because what is it called? Paprika? There's like a Japanese animated movie that is pretty much Inception, and like some of the scenes that are in Inception like are pretty much identical to scenes in this animated movie. But people borrow shit all the time.
I mean, that's Tarantino says that's his MO. He usually borrows all of his favorite shit, puts it in his own movie, and makes it his own. I mean, it's the only art form.
Are you never supposed to touch the idea of messing with dreams
again? Well, that's what's
again?
so crazy about movies. It's like the only art form that I know. Maybe
what,
paintings. Movies, yeah, where you can pay homage to your favorite filmmaker, your favorite movie, or whatever, and you won't get sued. But if you pay homage to one of your favorite songs, they'll sue you. They'll sue you right away.
Right. Yeah, I think it all depends how and what you're doing. Because if you're just like consistently stealing like somebody's catchphrase or some shit,
yeah.
Like,
I think also the fan also will know.
Yeah.
Okay, this is ridiculous. But no, I guess kind of take the conversation more now towards. We both saw, what was it? It came out like 3-4 weeks ago. Maxxxine.
I'd say that was a solid like month and a half ago.
Was it a month and a half ago? Because wouldn't that come out in June? Was that June it came out, or May?
June, I guess.
June?
Maybe end of June.
Month, 6 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, what I know, but for the audience, what's your thoughts on Maxxxine?
I loved it. Going in to see the reviews, a lot of the reviews was like, it's good, but it doesn't feel like it fits with the rest of the trilogy. It's not as much of a horror, yada, yada, yada. So who knows what I would have thought if I didn't read that going in. But I really liked it, and we've talked about it, but I like how, X is almost like a 80s slasher. It takes place in like the late 70s, but you got this old lady going around, and you got typical slasher death moments, kids fucking, blah blah blah.
Kid cutting with a huge fake dick.
Yeah, whatever it may be.
Yeah. That scene where he's standing at the door, he's like, "What's up, pops?" Yeah. This is dangling from his legs.
Right. It was a good moment.
But come on. Yeah.
But that had the slasher deaths, and then you have Pearl, which completely different movie. Still had some intense imagery, but it wasn't a slasher. It was more like the
hold on, is she one up? Come back.
Old like Hitchcock movies or whatever, like letting it take its time. And then this one, what I really liked is, like you mentioned, De Palma, but it had a solid.
It felt like a De Palma
80s
movie.
vibe.
Yeah.
It had that like kind of street crime thriller vibe. Not a slasher, but kind of like Seven, or even in a way Silence of the Lambs, this or that, where like you're gonna see a couple deaths and things are gonna be kind of crazy, but it's more sneaking around alleys, not like here comes the boogeyman.
Well,
it was kind of like a dirty 80s LA fucking.
Well, for me, I there she goes again, on the table.
It just felt, and it also, not to say anything about the twist at the end, but like that even kind of felt like Scream, or like just like that tacky, almost like, well, of course that's who it was, or like to bring it all around. And I feel like what was it, Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon? Have you seen that?
No.
It's
I love. Dude, he was so great in the movie.
Yeah, no, he was great. Yeah. So like even little things like that, but
and what's so cool, they had that scene. It's the Universal tour where they have the Bates Motel. Dude, it's so cool to actually be there. Because I went on the tour when I went to Universal
and it's just
Hollywood.
standing there.
And every time you drive by, like you know how when you're doing the tour, you always have a guide. It's like, oh no, there's Norman Bates.
Yeah.
What does he have there? Looks like a body. And it's just this guy holding a dummy, puts it in a trunk, and then he closes the trunk.
Is an actor?
Yeah, and then he walks towards you, and he's getting closer and closer, and he's like, oh no, they're like, the car is not starting. Oh no! He's getting closer and closer, and then he reaches into his jacket and he pulls out a knife, and he's about to get to you, and he's like, "Oh, I got started!" And you drive away, and he's just like walking towards you, and then the guy has to go back, get the dummy from the trunk, go back into the motel, and then does it all over again. He does this for like 8 hours a day. That's all he does. That's all the guy does.
Hey, he probably gets paid well.
He does the same thing over and over and over again. And I always wondered, I think I turned to Teresa, I was like, that guy must get so bored that it's at certain parts of the day that he wants the day to be over, that I bet you he just starts changing how he like approaches doing it every time. So maybe he's like, I'll run this time, and then just to get a script. Because there was this one, it was a heavier set lady. She sat, I think, like 3 or 4 people in front of us, and she wasn't really paying attention. All of a sudden, the guy's like right next to her with a knife. She's like, ah! She was not expecting that at all.
They usually, I know at Universal and stuff like that, or even at Disney, the actors, I think you go out for like 30 minutes, then you have like an hour off or something.
Oh, they probably
in like hot areas and stuff like that.
Probably like a SAG thing.
Yeah, I forget what it is.
Dude,
but it's actually like kind of broken up.
The Waterworld show is pretty cool.
Do they still have it up there?
Dude, that is the coolest. I've seen it twice, and both times, dude, it's so cool. I mean, even the pyrotechnics, because they're like shooting guns, and then they have like a doo doo doo, and they have like little sparks like fly, and then out of nowhere, there's like you hear like and then and this boat just comes flying over and just lands into the water. Dude, it's so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I would check it out. I like the Indiana Jones. Anyways, yes.
What, Indiana Jones at the...
Well, we could even say, at Disney, Hollywood Studios.
I have not been there yet, so I can't say.
Oh, really?
We only went to...
hopefully they don't
Teresa and I went to the main one. It's
Magic Kingdom?
Magic Kingdom, and we went to Epcot. That's the only 2 we went to.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the problem with Disney... You go one day, you can only go to one park. You really need a full day for each day.
I mean, you can...
It's so shitty.
If you...
Why is Epcot everyone's favorite park?
Because it's awesome.
There's not really rides, though.
There's rides. I mean, not really, but I mean, it's just kind of like the adult park. I mean, they got Test Track. Guardians of the Galaxy is a great ride. I'm a big fan of
Well, isn't that
Spaceship
everyone's
Earth.
favorite?
Yeah.
The Guardians of the Galaxy?
That's a really good
Which
ride.
I wasn't able to go because, I mean, you have to sign in and whatever.
Yeah. Which actually, if you can get on the list, it works
nice
out pretty
because you
well.
can go do stuff.
Yeah, at least you're not
sometimes-
standing there for 7 hours.
But if you can't get on it and you the day's kind of a loss if that's what you want. But
yeah, I mean, that's the gamble. Luckily, when I lived in Orlando, I knew so many people associated with the parks that I got to go kind of freely, which is the way to do it because no loss if you can't get on a ride or something. Or
you just go back another time.
And like Epcot's just fun because just food and drinks, but like it's chill. It's kind of a nice place just to walk a lap.
Because it's like it's a horseshoe.
Yeah.
You just go around and
around the
I
world.
remember we got lunch at, I think it was the Japanese one or the Chinese one, I don't remember. And there were like banging gongs and stuff. That was kind of cool.
The drums, I like that.
And I went to the
China used to have like little street gymnasts and shit that would do like crazy things. Yeah.
I went to the German one and I got a grapefruit beer because
those
Germans
are good.
are always known for
that's like their main drink there.
And I think it was like 10 in the afternoon or 10 in the morning, and I was like, I guess I'll get a beer.
That's what you do at Epcot.
It's 10 o'clock at night somewhere in the world.
Yeah.
But
if you're at the park, it's funny. Every few months, you'll read about somebody getting arrested at Epcot because they'll do drinks around the world, and it's usually around like England.
So what do? You just get a beer from. That was kind of cool. You just kind of slid underneath there, and now she's just laying down. Well, this time she doesn't have any bladder stones, so she's totally fine. The last time she was like dying.
Yeah, right. She was. But drinks around the world. You just pretty much at every country you get a drink, whether it's wine or a margarita or a beer or.
Because how many countries are there?
I think we were talking about it, but I think there's like maybe like 10. Let's see. In Mexico.
Hell, if you're a lightweight, man, that's like alcohol poisoning waiting to happen.
Right. No, yeah. I mean,
dude, they gave me a full beer.
Yeah, so some are bigger, some are smaller.
Well, because a beer's it's like $12. So if you get you spend $120 for beer.
Yeah, some are smaller, but that is your event for the day.
It's just getting hammered for the day.
I mean, everybody ends up like if you do it, you end up pretty boozed up at the end. Yeah. But it's fun.
How many times have you done it?
Maybe just twice. One time when I was still living in Ohio and I came down for vacation. And then when John and Taj came.
Okay.
We did it. More or less. And then we went on Soarin'. But I mentioned horror movies. I'm mentioning Indiana Jones. Temple of Doom was definitely... Or even all the Indiana Jones movies, but Temple of Doom, that was a movie that was like a sneaky horror movie.
No, what? Because when he rips the dude's heart out?
When he rips the dude's heart out.
Yeah.
Even when Indiana Jones drinks out of like the dead head to like drink the evil poison.
Well, even in Raiders of the Lost Ark at the end, when everyone's face is melting.
I remember being a kid.
That is horrifying.
Like watching it with the family, but like blanket like.
And it just
like,
melting.
Holy shit! Yeah.
That's
a memory that's very vivid to me. The first time I saw it.
I actually saw. I thought you were trying to jump down. I actually saw. I don't know if I ever said this, but I saw Last Crusade first because my neighbor actually.
I think I saw them in order.
My neighbor had. I think he bought it at at Blockbuster, and he would always buy us movies. I mean, his wife passed away. I wouldn't say young. I think she was in her late 60s, early 70s. But he was by himself for a good 12, 14 years, and so. He used to sometimes make food and give it to us, and like soups and stuff like that. Because he was in the Navy, and I think he was a cook on one of the. I think he was on a destroyer because he had a tattoo in his arm of the destroyer that he was on during World War II. And he used to bring delicious soups, and then every now and then he'd bring something over, and like, don't ever do. Yeah, it was great. Thanks, awesome. Yeah, when no one ate it. Sorry, Leo, but you've passed away, so I guess sorry to your spirit.
Leo!
What a wonderful day!
What a wonderful day!
But, he gave us a bunch of movies, and Last Crusade was one of them, and I saw it because I thought, oh, it's Indiana Jones. I'll watch it. I thought it was the first one. Mm-hmm. So I saw Last Crusade first, and that was like my Indiana Jones. And then I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I absolutely love Raiders of the Lost Ark, but because I saw the third one first, the third and the first one for me, for some reason,
How like flipped in your mind?
they're equal.
Yeah.
They're equal.
No, I would agree.
Because
honestly, Last Crusade is probably what I think of first when I think of Indiana Jones.
Because if I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark first, I probably would think the third one's really good, just not as good as the first one. But because I saw the third one first, I think it's as good as the first one. No, it is. I think the first one's a better movie just for the sheer fact that some of the most iconic scenes are from... most of the iconic scenes are from the first one.
Right.
So, like, the opening scene with the rolling ball... the melting faces, the evil German guy, he burns his hand, all that stuff, or like the famous line where he's like, I don't know, I'm just making it up as I go. Okay, like that, all that stuff.
Right.
All that's from the
and
first one.
Temple of Doom is technically a prequel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did know that. And it's so strange that, and which one was it? Was it the first one, or the second, or was it the third? I don't know. When there's that one chick, she's just like,
I think it's the third one.
And I think it didn't say, like, I love you.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
he's
that's
just
the
like,
third one.
And he just like,
Everybody wanted to bang the indie.
Well, who wouldn't? I mean, I'd bang Harrison.
Right. So true.
I'd bang him right now. He's 182? Guy.
I'd let him go Red Hulk on my ass. But yeah, dude.
Back to Maxxxine, or do you want to have something else to say?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
what do you have else to say?
No, just that Temple of Doom, just the overall creepiness, like the dead, even when they're, number one, when they're eating the short round was great. I think Temple of Doom is underrated, but it's also so strange. It's a trilogy, but it feels so removed.
Was that the one
which I wish we had more.
Was that the movie that made the PG-13?
Yeah, because it's PG.
Because it's horrifying.
But yeah, and they show him eating like the monkey brains, and like they cut that snake open and all the babies come out. Like that whole food scene is insane. Then they're walking through that passage and like the bodies like fall out and shit. Just like all that shit. It was, dude, the fucking bugs when they have to pull the lever. Like everything in that movie was just like, wasn't really shock and awe. It wanted to make you feel like, sweaty little slave children and shit. Like, it wasn't a fun movie. Like Temple of Doom is just like not a good time, but it's done well.
Well, it's not voodoo. What exactly?
He was like what they say?
A witch doctor.
He was like Indian. What was it?
An Indian witch doctor or something like that.
Who was the god?
I forget who it was.
It was some Indian god.
Kishnu?
Like it was something like that. Like, but it was like of like an evil god or something.
Vishnu, Kishnu, whatever it is.
Something like that. Yeah, I could try, but it would all sound racist. So I was just making random names. But yeah, and
the guy with many arms.
I think it was like something like that. Yeah. And then the fucking like lava pit that they dropped the body in, like everything seemed otherworldly.
I remember wasn't there the one guy that he's just like, they have him tied up,
like,
and he just yanks his heart out, and he's like, and
then when he's still alive when he burns, and then the heart catches on fire. It's like because he's just there to try to get the two stones or the third stone or just one stone. They just need one stone that was protecting a village.
Is that the only? Because I didn't see the newest one. Is it the only one that doesn't have Nazis in it? Or is it the last one like with Russians or something? Who?
Oh, well, yeah. So the last one is the fifth one. That does have Nazis.
Okay, it does have Nazis.
Yeah.
So the second one does. They don't have no Nazis.
It's just like slave Indians, and then
slave Indians.
That's what they are. Yeah. Like brainwashed and stuff. What were they called? Thuggies. I think the henchmen were called Thuggies. I went on a date to like an barcade kind of thing, and we were playing Temple of Doom, this arcade thing, and like they would call them Thuggies, the henchmen. Yeah. And I think they do say that in the movie. I rewatched it. The Thuggee is going to try to steal my heart.
Well, dude, you know what's crazy about the first one?
But the fourth one has Russians.
Yeah, okay.
And aliens.
Dude, that was the time. I love Spielberg. Sometimes he gets a little over zealous with aliens. I swear to God, if you're like, hey, here's a premise. This. I don't know, guys. It's not gonna really cut. By the way, did we tell you there's aliens in it?
He's like,
let's do it. And then I always had this this story I would tell to some of my friends in high school. Or was it that movie come out when I was in college? When did that come out?
Which movie?
The fourth Indiana Jones. It was
something kind
high
of
school or college.
Yeah, no, it was because I was at.
I just remember telling
maybe it was
my friends like they had like a meeting and this and that, and they give the pitch and like no, and then he's like, okay, aliens, and then he goes back to the writers like, okay, guys, somehow you got to figure out how to put aliens in it so we get money. No, he always puts aliens. It seems like in everything, even in
I mean, to be fair, aliens.
AI, he randomly snuck aliens in there.
Really?
Yeah. Did you see AI?
No, with the little Haley Joel Osment. Or
it was supposed to be a Kubrick movie, and then I think
Kubrick, wasn't he like dying?
Yeah. Oh no, he died abruptly, that could be a podcast in itself. The conspiracy theory of Stanley Kubrick's death. Got a clean. I guess he went to the doctor a couple weeks before, a clean bill of health. And a week before his movie was set to be released, he died of a massive heart attack. And a lot of people think he was poisoned.
CIA'd?
By the Illuminati.
Because he filmed the moon landing.
Yes. Supposedly.
Right. Supposedly.
If you ask a NASA scientist, they would spit in your face. I went to Cape Canaveral and I actually asked one of the astronauts. I didn't know it was an astronaut. I was actually looking at the rocket, like the engine.
Yeah.
That's on the bottom, and I was just marveled at. I was like just absolutely captivated by all the little intricate pieces in this thing.
Yeah.
And this guy randomly comes up. Ripley, what are you barking at?
I think she's
terrified
the
of
easel.
The easel.
She's been kind of staring at it. What do you think it is? It's just a painting easel. It's not a stick person.
Blah 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 blah.
So what you?
So the guy,
you insulted
this
the
random
astronaut?
guy comes up. This random guy comes up, starts talking to me. He's like, "Hey, so you're looking at the engine?" I'm like, yeah, dude. There's so many like parts in that thing. He's like, yeah, there's over 50,000 pieces in that thing. I'm like, oh my god. He's like, well, I mean, just think about it. It took about 12 years to make, so I mean. Yeah, give or take.
Yeah.
So as they experimented, they added more pieces here, added more pieces there, and we actually had like a half-hour conversation. Dude, when she hits her nose on the ground, she just keeps sneezing.
Yeah.
That's our producer and sponsor.
She's being sassy and sneezy.
Yes. She is the new spokesperson for bladder stones.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we just had we sparked up a half-hour conversation, and Teresa was like, where were you? I'm like, I was talking to this guy. And then out of nowhere, someone comes up and is like, hey, sir, we need you over in the other room. I guess supposed to give like a speech or something for like donors or something.
Yeah.
Or investors or something it was. And dude said astronaut. And I'm like, oh, dude was in space.
Yeah.
Guy was in space. And so I had no idea, but I did bring up, so what's your thoughts on them supposedly, like, they say they faked the moon landing. He got so red with anger, and he went off on, like, you're telling me all these people had to die, all these scientists had to sacrifice everything, all this stuff to fake a moon landing. And I'm like, I literally didn't know I didn't know how to respond. I was like, I'm just asking you, like, what's your thoughts on people when they say that? And now I know if anyone from NASA, if you say, oh yeah, Kubrick filmed the moon landing, they will punch you in the face because, it's just like a sore subject. I think they landed on the moon. I do.
Yeah.
I do. I think Apollo, then why would Apollo 13, why would that have any significance at all?
Right.
They were able to get to the moon. They slungshot her. Yeah, that's just me.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot of people out there that truly believe that it was fake. The weirdest one for me, though, is the 9/11 one. The 9/11 was a demolition explosion.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that.
And I watched it was on the History Channel about that because they had this like the main guy that like had brought up the conspiracy theory. I think it was like he started it on YouTube or on like a blog, and then he later put it on his like theory on YouTube when YouTube first came out. And they said his side of things, and he's got some compelling evidence and footage and stuff like that that's showing like, oh yeah, that does kind of look like that.
Yeah.
And they put side to side like buildings that were demoed, and then it's similar.
Yeah.
And then you bring a engineer, and he's just like, no, you know what fucking happened? The plane flew into the goddamn structure, and it melted the main support system. I guess was in the center or something like that. And it collapsed. And the way it was built, it was like in pancakes. So it just went...
Right, yeah.
And he said the force pushed everything out. So yeah, it's gonna look like a demo. But he's like, why would anyone blow up a building just to start a war over the Middle East? Like, why would anyone do that? And he's like,
it's a solid point. They could just go to war.
Yeah, they could just go to war. Like, what's stopping them from going to war? I mean, I guess being attacked would give them an excuse why. Yeah, but I guess we can do conspiracy theories a whole nother.
Right, because you can get convinced either way on that one.
Yeah.
Depending if you want to be.
Oh, for a second I thought the footage. But again, we went on a tangent there. I guess wheeling it back.
Right.
Let's talk about Maxxxine.
Yes.
Like, so you love Maxxxine.
I thought it was. I mean, there was still violence in it. There was still. I mean, I don't think the other ones ever scared me, but there still was a feeling of a threat. I think it continued the story well from X.
Yeah.
Like, it made sense for her character and how she was acting and just how things were. But I really liked that it went more thriller than horror. Like, I think in a way it's actually respectable that they didn't just toss in like some typical slasher. I mean, it doesn't really work as well in the other ones, but it is kind of like, even like some of those De Palma things or like the slower thriller 80s movies, but like, just seeing like a glove being put on. Yeah. Something bad's going to happen. Yeah, like you don't always have to see the death.
The car scene when you just see the guy's hands.
Yeah.
And you've told me, but I guess
So I actually like that they did a bold decision to kind of...
Yeah. Pee-pee?
What?
Pee-pee?
No, just water.
Oh, do your thing.
So
I'll continue talking.
I'll be back here.
No, but I think you've told me that Pearl is your favorite one.
No, I've said I have to re-see X. I have to re-see both of them or all of them. But I think Pearl is the better movie, technically. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I guess if you're taking sort of like the slow development of a character.
Well, I'd say for like a quote unquote or end quote film.
Yeah.
It's more of a movie. Like, that would have chances of getting awards where X, not really. You know what I mean? Like, I could see Pearl being nominated for something.
Yeah. But
if something was like if Mia Goth was nominated in X, I'd be like, what the fuck? But if she was nominated for an Oscar from Pearl, I'd be like, I could see you where you could nominate that.
Well, so I guess for me, before I even get on to Maxxxine, I think X is probably my favorite one. And
I love X is a lot of fun.
I say that,
solid shots.
But I actually like the structure of the story more than anything. I love when it's the cop pulling up to the house. There's like a bloody blanket over a body. Mm-hmm. Walks into the house. see blood, a body, and then he's like, "Sir, you gotta come see this." Goes downstairs, and he's like, "What the hell?" And then it sets up perfectly the rest of the movie that shit is going down.
Yeah.
And so you're just slowly watching and anticipating, okay, when's this going to happen? When's that going to happen? And it perfectly sets everything up. They have the alligator scene.
Which was and then
so they
good.
Go back to the alligator. There's even things like, oh, my heart, I can't, because of my heart. Right. And the heart plays effect. Like, just everything, to me, in the first one seems like it perfectly wrapped up itself.
Yeah.
And it completed.
Because it was also nice because it really just took a simple idea.
It's a very simple movie.
Yeah.
But it took all these things, it took all these things, and then at the very end, it just wrapped it up all nicely together.
Right.
And I Pearl, yes, I think was probably shot better.
Right.
The movie was solely about her.
Yeah.
The X seemed like it was about her, but it had Kid Cudi's character a little bit.
Right.
It had the relationship between
camera
guy and Jenna Ortega.
Yeah.
And then they I love how I remember she was wearing the I forget what it was called, but it was the week underwear where it has like each day of the week, like there's this Monday underwear.
She did?
Yeah, I think she had Saturday on, if I recall. But I guess the producer.
Yeah.
He everyone had their thing at the end. Yeah, I guess. Shit, what was her name again? Not Pearl. In the first one, what was
Maxxine?
Yeah, was it Maxxine? Hey, it was Maxxine. Yeah, it was Maxxine. I'm just zoned out.
Right. Yeah.
She was the main character, but everyone
and then also fucking just flat out Mia Goth playing both of them.
Yeah.
Like I
didn't even know that she was the old lady until you told me.
Yeah, towards the end of it, I remember kind of like watching and being like, no fucking way, is that her?
Yeah.
Like I started like noticing it, but like, I mean, obviously prosthetics done well, but even that theme of kind of like the duality of like young, old, lustful, but like wanting to be more.
Yeah.
Like
the second one,
Pearl, is good. Yeah.
Pearl, it had that almost like comic booky World War I feel.
Like I love the period piece aspect of it.
Yeah. The mom aspect was really great. The dad like freaking out and crying.
Oh right.
Because he's like, "Oh my God, you killed your mother."
Right.
And he was terrified of her.
Yeah. So good.
What did he have? Like polio? What was it again?
I think it was polio.
Was it polio? Because he was paralyzed.
But that's something I like about the whole trilogy too. Each movie, that's what I like most about Maxxine, the route they did it. Each movie literally is its own different movie.
Yeah.
Like there's the characters connected, but other than that, they're like entirely different horror movies.
Well, it's kind of like the first one is like, I guess you'd say kind of more, it's not a slasher film, but more on the slasher side.
Yeah.
The second one
it's about like getting the kill count in, and different deaths.
The second one felt more like the main character. Oh, have you ever seen Red Dragon?
Yeah.
Like Red Dragon.
Yeah.
Where there's moments where he meets the girl and he's like, "Oh, I'm normal," and then it all falls apart, kind of a thing. And then the third one, is like a De Palma thriller. When I watch it, it's like, oh, it's a De Palma thriller. But I know you love Maxxine. I like Maxxine a lot. I was expecting something different. I know you were saying that you read going into it. It's much different,
right?
And I think I might have to watch it again to kind of actually.
I think I expected something different, but the fact that it didn't end up being what I expected is what made me kind of go like,
I wish it was kind of still in that realm of the horror aspect, I actually wish the Night Stalker was a little bit more involved.
Yeah, it would have made it more.
I thought the way in the trailer it made it like, oh, the Night Stalker.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a small aspect of it. It didn't really have much to do in the movie. I don't know.
But I kind of like that it also dealt with her just being like
the climax,
the character aspect.
The climax of the movie didn't really do it for me as much.
No, it didn't for me either. But that's what I kind of like the twist or whatever. I kind of
saw it coming.
Right, but I kind of like that because with horror movies, sometimes you can.
I'm hitting record right now, and then we'll get back into it and kind of. Ow!
Yeah.
Fuck my knee! Oh! It's like when you hit that funny bone.
You feel it deep in your soul.
Son of a bitch.
Leave it in.
Dude, I know, we're leaving it in there. Let me lower it just a little bit here. I think that's good. I think we're good. Sorry, folks. The camera died. We were talking for a lot longer than the battery wanted us to. So
yeah. How long were we talking for?
Well, actually, the memory card went full. I thought it said 5 hours and 31 minutes. Apparently, that meant we had 53 minutes with 1 second. Actually, I misread it. Mm-hmm. My bad. I'm the cameraman.
Oopsie doopsie.
But we caught it before we kept talking, like we were saying right before.
Yeah, because
it's horrible when you realize you catch gold, you captured gold, but then you never hit record, or it died before realizing it.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of an
I've done that
moment.
many times. There were so many times I've done that, and I think I've mentally broke a wall. Mentally, punched a wall with my fists.
I've physically done
anger.
that many times.
But I didn't
not
show
many
it.
times,
I didn't
but
show it
several
to
times.
I didn't show it to actors because I didn't want to show weakness.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's how it done. That's what sucks
an episode
with
we gotta talk about. Actually, when it comes to filming and film stories and stuff like that, that's what we gotta do. That would be fucking great.
Just story time.
God,
that is true.
Just a straight story time thing where you're telling stories about filming or acting or whatever.
Yeah, I like that. But since we're back, what we were talking about
Maxxxine and sort of my expectations not met as well as I thought it could have been. I loved, again, I love the again, I don't know if that's what we're trying to go for. If the director, what's his name again?
Ty West.
Ty West, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he was trying to go for, but it looked like a Hitchcock, De Palma type thriller.
Right. It almost felt more early 80s and 70s than X did.
Yeah.
As far as the way it was filmed.
Well, it captured the decade really well.
Yeah.
That's what I did love about that.
No, it captured that. Yeah, that's what I think I liked. And I also think
stepping on the testicles.
Yeah, was a...
That was
keep that a penny away from me.
That was a doozy.
Dude, that was a... I think that's what I liked about it, though. That instead of forcing... I like that it went a different direction. Instead of forcing this, like...
horror.
A new super slasher or something. Because part of me was like, they've kept it kind of realistic. Of like, Pearl was a prequel to the main killer in the first movie. So it's kind of like, I knew for Maxxxine, like, you're not going to bring Pearl back. It'd be stupid if they brought in, like, oh, Pearl had a sister. Or, like, some, like, shitty twist in horror movies. I like that they kind of just let it go. Because I was like, any new slasher will either... It's just all been done before. Like, even the Scream movies, them wanting to kill Sidney Prescott because they fucking loved...
Yeah.
The other movies or loved the other stories. Like, I like that they just kind of like, it was almost a plot twist that they moved so far away from it. and I think it also is realistic how Maxine's life continued on with it. Just that kind of like dirty past.
Yeah.
And just her freaking out.
Well, this is one thing I don't like playing, and there's a lot of people that I know. One of our friends who's name we won't mention. Maybe you'll know when I say it.
Yeah.
But they will leave a movie and then we'll go out into the hallway or the lobby of the movie theater and we'll talk about what we thought about the movie. And if didn't like it, we start coming up with ideas of how it could have been better. And I don't like doing that because when I watch a movie, I can't see it any other way than what I saw. And you could come up with any idea, anything that would fix it.
Right.
And you hope and you assume that when the filmmakers are writing it and making it, that they have seen every avenue or outcome where the story could go. And that story could go a million different ways. It's impossible. If I gave you a writing prompt and you gave me a writing prompt, we might have so far polar opposite stories.
Right.
It's whatever your brain comes up with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the movie Ty West made. I can't see him making it any other way.
Oh, right.
How I look at it is, did I enjoy it or did I not? Sometimes the first time, now my favorite movie of all time, I actually hated when I first saw it.
Right, The Shining.
Shining.
Yeah.
I didn't understand why people loved it. I was like, where's all these horror aspects? Like it didn't feel like a horror movie to me when I watched it. It seemed very subdued, but then that's kind of the reason why it is a horror movie.
Yeah.
Is because it is so subdued until the end.
Right.
It's just a culmination. It's the build until the very end, and then there's no real supernatural things really going on.
In The Shining?
Not really, until one thing happens. Jack Nicholson's in like the meat locker or that food closet or whatever it is, and Shelley Duvall locks him in. And then I forget how they get to the scene, but they cut back. Jack Nicholson's kind of just sitting there, and all of a sudden, Lloyd, the bartender, you hear his voice. It's like, hey, I think he says something about you have to get the job done or this or that. I don't remember the exact dialogue. And then all of a sudden the door opens and Jack Nicholson's let out. That's the only time where actual supernatural things happen.
What about like the old decaying lady and shit like that? And the twin?
That could be in his mind.
Oh, right. Well, yeah. But at least a physical, tangible
if we're talking psychic not being supernatural,
yeah,
you could take psychic as like almost like a power.
Right. Yeah.
You could view the naked lady as Jack Nicholson is seeing images. If he is actually psychic, because some people say he's not. I've heard people tell me, "Oh, he's not psychic at all. It's all his brain." Mm-hmm. But then there's that one aspect where the door opens, where there is something supernatural. So, to be honest, till this day, I don't know what I am watching when I'm watching The Shining, and I think that's the point.
No, it does have like a Rubik's Cube aspect.
Yeah,
you just keep twisting and turning.
I don't, and especially, and when I watch it the second time, the last shot is what threw me off. Like what?
Oh,
the picture.
Yeah.
It threw me off completely, and I'm like, what did I just watch? When I first saw it, I was like, this is stupid. Like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
And I was trying to find meaning behind it. I was I think I was like 14, 15 when I saw it. And then when I saw it a second time, I was 21. So I had lived and experienced enough life to realize...
Like when you
don't need to find meaning in everything sometimes. Sometimes
it's just like
something happens and you just...
The experience of...
Yeah.
because that's what I mean, like...
I have that
same
picture.
with like David Lynch movies.
Big John got me that picture.
What picture?
The final picture.
Oh, you have that?
I have that. Yeah. I gotta put it up somewhere.
Yeah, that would be cool. But same with like David Lynch, which I wouldn't call exactly horror, but definitely can be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But yeah, his movies, if you were looking for answers by the end of them,
There's
don't watch them. Like,
I mean,
but it's
Mulholland
totally.
Drive.
I love Mulholland Drive because it gives you so much, while like not explaining any of it. But there's this weird aspect feeling where you're like, it makes sense. I get what's happening, but I also don't. I can't explain it.
I don't like reading up on like this is what happened and people explaining in a summary what happened, what the movie's about, because I want to experience it for myself, and I want the movie to have meaning to me and finding the meaning.
Yeah.
Mulholland Drive, what I got out of it is a chick is jealous, hires a guy to kill the chick that she's in love with, and that's literally it.
Yeah, but then it turns into...
That's the whole story.
But then like the story flips, and they're like...
Then all this crazy shit happens.
Yeah, when they're like the actresses in the movie.
Yeah, and then there's an old lady. A homeless old lady.
Dude, I was about to say, that's one of like the craziest scenes I've seen. It just... effective...
And then I'm trying to figure out. Remember on stage, there's like that triangle.
The blue triangle key thing or whatever with the cowboy. And you
like go in it or something. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on, and then all of a sudden the movie ends.
Yeah.
And you're like, "What the hell did I just watch?" And then the second I've only seen it twice. And the second time I watch it, I don't think you're supposed to really know what's supposed to.
Dude, I don't think I might have Googled once, but like it's one of those movies where every single time you watch it, you can kind of come up with a different explanation. But like, there's so much stuck in there,
just thrown in.
But it feels like it's so loosely like connected, where it doesn't feel exactly random,
and yet
you just feel the absence of your own knowledge,
and you can't look away.
Yeah. It's just I haven't ever finished Twin Shadows, or not Twin Shadows. That's a musician. Yeah. Twin Peaks. I watched the first season. I love the just the aesthetics of that show, but I know Lynch wasn't in the second season.
Yeah, wasn't there some like argument or something? He kind of stepped away or got kicked off.
He was something like that, but then they brought him back for like I think the finale, and then there was Fire Walk with Me, or he comes back in like the later episodes. I can't remember what. I
heard that the one that was on Showtime. I hear some people loved it. I hear some people were like, "Eh."
I know it goes like even further into the craziness of it, which I think lines up with David Lynch.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's...
Has he done anything lately? Or he's just kind of chilling out?
He kind of regularly puts out shorts.
He does a lot of shorts?
Yeah, I saw something was on Netflix of a monkey.
Is it Twin Peaks, the one on Showtime? Was that the last thing he did?
He did that. I'm pulling him up right now. Because I love David Lynch.
I just remember I saw the first episode... I saw it was a rerun. I think it was like a couple years after it came out, and they had it on the station like late at night. And I remember it was the first episode where they find they have the dead girl's body, and he like looks under it's like the fingernail or whatever, and he finds like the one like letter from like a paper clipping or something super small.
Oh yeah.
And it was so bizarre and so strange, and I don't know how that guy was given a show on network television.
I don't know either.
I don't know how he got a show on network, because that guy is so far out there.
Yeah. I don't know. He's involved in some random TV series.
Probably is
he's still doing shorts. It just says video, not film. Will there be anything else? 5 minutes. Okay. The moon's glow. 3 minutes. So I think he just
shorts.
I mean, dude, that's an artist right there.
Well, he probably funds it himself, but he probably has so much money.
Yeah,
that he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't, and he also never really.
I wonder. Again, I mean, you hear stories about actors and filmmakers and musicians and everything like that, where they sort of disappear from the scene, and it's by choice. There's always Lynch is a guy I've always wondered if he was so just the Hollywood machine, because the money and everything, it's run by the suits of Hollywood. They give you the money to make your movie. So even though you might have full creative control, you don't, because someone else is giving you money. Now, if you fund it yourself, you have complete control.
It's like, I don't know if I would. I mean, it's a horror, but I don't know if it would scare people. But the menu.
Oh, dude, I love that movie.
Yeah, but when he kills the angel investor, he's like, I've been under his thumb the entire time.
Yeah, and
like, I love that movie. That's one of my favorite movies.
That was shockingly really good. I kind of, when I saw the trailer, I kind of was like, I don't know, it's going to be one of those stupid ones. But when you told me to see it, it's really good, and I watched it, and it has really nothing to do with like the actual violence.
Yeah, it's all
about he lost the love of cooking because of everyone in that room, what they stand for.
Yeah, all in different ways.
Money, prestige, fame, all that stuff. He didn't care about any of that. All he wanted to do was cook. And the time where he was most happy was making a simple hamburger.
Yeah.
That's all he wanted to do.
Shit.
But you always have to take the next step, I guess. And I guess when you take that next step, and I guess that's kind of even with me per se, I guess. All I could think about, and I still do. Don't get me wrong, I still do. All I wanted to be was the next Kubrick. That was my goal, or be better than Kubrick. And I guess when you go off and try to make it and do it, and then, at least for me, the certain aspects of movie making have been slightly tainted for me, because when you're putting your heart and soul into a project, and let's say the lead actor, there's many examples in film school, which we should tell stories about that. Many examples in film school where I'm putting my heart and soul in this thing, and there's an individual or individuals, it just seems like they're just there for the credit.
Oh, right.
Or if they are getting paid, get paid $180. I think that was the minimum for a SAG actor when I was in film school. Hey, I don't know. I forget how much it was.
What, for a day?
For a day, yeah.
Yeah.
It sort of, if money and fame were taken out of the equation, would you be a filmmaker, or would you be an actor? Do you actually truly love doing this? And I've worked with so many people, and minus you. Well, I mean, when we were making the Men with No Names, obviously you can see the love in everyone's eyes, because we're basically family now.
Right.
We've been through like hell and back when making that movie over the span of a year? Something
like that, a little over a year.
Yeah, but when you're making a movie
because I know all the seasons show up.
Yeah, when you're making a movie in the span of a weekend, very quickly, even at the first day, the excitement is always very high when you first start filming, and very quickly, I'm talking like a couple hours, 3 hours into it, you can totally tell who actually is invested and who is not. And I always leaned on individuals that are more invested than the other ones, because I would rather have there was my favorite actor to work with in film school was a guy named Dustin. Love the guy. Dustin, if you see the podcast, this episode, shout out to you. I love you. One of these days we got to do something together again. And I need to buy one of your paintings. You're a pretty damn good painter too. He's a painter too.
Nice.
But he did what I wanted, did what I needed, and then he was so enthusiastic, I would let him do your thing.
Right.
And most of the time, what he did was better than what I thought.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, the excitement in his face and the drive to make it as best he possibly could made it better.
Yeah.
He had so much invested. So I wonder, like, getting back to David Lynch, guys like David Lynch, because he hasn't really done anything for a while, if he's just so fed up with the system.
I mean, yeah.
Or the
you
machine.
can find so many clips of him being like,
and they're just
I
like,
don't want to fucking
I'm
do
good.
that.
I'm good. And again, I don't want to make this all about me, but I've kind of, not that I don't want to be making Hollywood blockbuster action films for the rest of my life. I would love to make a Terminator if I could.
Yeah.
Will that day come? I hope it does. I think it will. I have to, obviously, you have to build up to that. But, dude, the focus right now is so much more on, I know we're talking about horror, we kind of just got on
Well,
this.
yeah, but it's, we could just call this the interlude.
Yeah.
to,
this thing that we're doing right now, the Artistry Under Fire, this thing that we're doing, it's small, it's starting out small. I thoroughly believe that it could be something.
Whatever it may be.
If we stick to it and continue working at this thing, whether it be selling art, making filming episodes, selling merchandise, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then maybe even one day, the goal of mine was always to own my own movie studio.
Right. I mean, I know we talk about it a lot, but I've had just kind of an idea in my head of like, what's a horror we could shoot really quick? And like...
Because that simple story.
Yeah, I figured we could just shoot something where like, I figured like, it would be me or something. I could just be like writing here, but then like maybe using like blueberries or a little bit of makeup. Pretty much make either like a dead or like fucked up version looking of me.
Yeah.
And then we could kind of just film like, I don't know, just with editing or back and forth. Just like, I figured like, I don't know, I don't want to explain it too much, but just like something simple of like, even if I'm just going around the apartment or something, and I just keep seeing this like fucked up version of me in like the corner or this or that, maybe wearing the same clothes or going about my day.
Like losing your
and
mind.
Either like I attack myself and it's just like a fight scene, or maybe like I'm wearing the same clothes in each one, but obviously something happened in the other, and then I just like walk out the door, and that's it. Of like just kind of like, is he gonna go out and die like Final Destination or some shit like? But I think that's something even under this. I would like to film just like shorts and stuff. I know you're always pretty down for it.
Yeah, I'm always down to film something.
We can, even if we just don't even do words, that's a step that will be a part of it. But if we can...
Well, the most difficult thing to do, and actually I think the
most
effective thing to do is show it rather than say it.
Yeah. And if we do little things like that...
Not to critique modern cinema.
Yeah.
I think that's...
Oh, right.
I saw Twisters.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good movie. I wasn't blown away. The first one is one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid, so that will always hold a spot in my heart. But Twisters is a perfect example of, instead of explaining it by showing, they explain by words.
5 minute.
But not just with words. They show an exact replica of what's going to happen in a mini model on the little TV screen inside the car.
While
they're driving at a tornado. It's like, who has the time to make this little video?
You could put that explanation from the guy as like dialogue over on top of it while they're doing it.
Yeah.
Almost like Ocean's 11.
Yeah. Or
when they're explaining the plan, and then they always show them while they're doing it.
Or don't even explain it. Just show it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we could figure it out that they must be triangulating something to scan the tornado.
Yeah.
And Acting wasn't the strongest.
Right.
That's another thing I had a problem with. The acting wasn't the strongest. I don't know what's going on with acting today. It just seems like the actors...
Well, it's either like phenomenal...
Or it's subpar
like,
that I could come pretty close to recreating it. And I'm not an actor.
I feel like, because there's, which I think is a talent, but like Hallmark acting.
Yeah.
Where like you're giving just enough, but not too much to scare some white woman on a couch. Like, but it's like I feel like it's an acquired skill to be a good Hallmark actor.
To be over the top, like, but not over too over
the top. Like it's almost like acting in a musical.
Yeah.
Without the songs.
Yeah.
But I feel like you do see...
For drawn out, drawn out motions.
Like, yeah! Like little frustrated things like that are just stupid. But not that stupid. They're fun, but you get the idea. But I feel like with Netflix and streaming services, it's funny, we're kind of bouncing all around this in our own way. But with streaming services, I almost feel like you brought that Hallmark level of acting to, because now there's so many shows that can be seen by so many people. I feel like that acting kind of got moved up to there, and then some of that also went to the blockbusters.
Yeah. Not
that like shitty acting hasn't always been around, but there's not. I mean, in the '80s or like even
you have B-level movie acting in A-level movies.
Yeah.
And when you go into a B movie, you go in expecting, okay, this is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you're going to love it because it's so... B movies are so over the top, and most horror movies, I'm not saying all horror movies, but a lot of horror movies can be considered B movies.
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, the majority of them.
You have
They're all the good ones.
The lead stars usually are their first or second role of major, so like Johnny Depp.
I was about to say Johnny Depp.
Yeah. Or George Clooney and the Killer, the Killer Tomatoes or whatever it was.
Oh, he's like in the
Attack
first
of the
scene.
Killer Tomatoes.
Oh wait,
I think it's the second one.
Was he in that?
The second one.
No, he was in. I know I saw it. He plays a cop in an opening scene. I think he plays an actor playing a cop, or maybe he's just a cop. It's like Dead High School 2 or something.
But what I'm saying is,
I saw that, which was an interesting movie.
You have some great actors.
Or Kevin Bacon in the first Friday the 13th. Yeah.
In B-level movie, budget-wise, because budget. Yeah. And you're just enjoying the fun of just how over the top, how cheesy it is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's so fun and entertaining. But if you take that and put it to a $100 million budgeted movie, you just go in, you're like, come on, guys. Like my anticipation, not anticipation. What's the word I want to use?
Patient.
The level of acting I expect from a A-list movie. I expect more. I want to be sucked in to your role, to your character, and I want to see how good you really are. That's what I And there's just so many movies now that are $200 million budget movies where I'm watching it, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, this is what Teresa, which we're at Twisters. No, not Twisters. When we're watching, well, even in Twisters, she did say the acting was kind of like, But we watched the new Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, she straight up said right when the movie ended, man, Axel Foley's daughter sucked in that movie. Just straight up said she was terrible. No offense, I'm not trying to rip on her, but you're in a big budget movie. I expect you to bring your A game.
Right. I mean...
I expect you to bring your A game.
Unfortunately, for some of them, that is their A game. Depending, I mean...
Well, then that goes back to...
Like, casting or
casting,
fucking
maybe instead of picking the best-looking person for the role, maybe you should pick the best actor for the role.
Yeah.
But that's a lot harder to do.
Right. And then also kind of comedy and horror is kind of the same thing.
I mean,
a
basically
lot
it's the
gets
same
forgiven.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, did you ever hear the evolutionary aspect of horror and humor? Did you ever hear that? I think I heard it. It was in a. Actually, I think Big John told me it. That the reason why horror and comedy, if a person loves comedy, they usually love horror, because I think they said it was from the same evolutionary like part of the brain.
Yeah.
So I guess he was telling me that, like, let's say there's like a you hear a noise in the bush and you're like, oh, and you're scared,
yeah.
and then like a rabbit comes out, you're like, ha ha ha, it's a rabbit, and
Right.
then that's where laughing came from.
Yeah.
Supposedly that's what they
You
think.
might have mentioned that. I also think I have a coworker that I worked with
So
in
it's
Orlando
like
who told me that.
anticipation
Yeah.
of, oh my god,
Like,
it's gonna
I'm scared.
Yeah. And then it's
I can't
so I
believe
guess
how scared I
laughter and being scared come from the same part of the
Yeah,
brain.
I mean, it's both of them are a surprise.
Yeah.
Usually, you laugh because you didn't expect what happened or was said.
Yeah.
And yeah, same thing with fear. You didn't, or at least you really hoped the killer wasn't behind the door, and you open it up.
Well,
they are there.
Well, what is your thoughts on the jump scare? Since we're back at since how we made it back to horror.
Yeah, there's a difference. There's fun jump scares. I don't like movies that are all jump scares.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah,
I
'cause,
like a perfect place jump scare.
There's kind of a point like in the mid 2000s or something when they were just putting out
all it was.
PG-13 horror movies left and right, and it was all jump scares.
Yeah.
Which was fun to go see with friends in the theater and stuff. But I don't know. Some are very effective. I don't think it's something to avoid.
The best one I can think off the top of my head is, did you ever see any of the...
What?
What?
Oh, doesn't she usually start barking at 6 for food?
Oh, for food.
Yeah.
We're almost done, Ripley. Give us like 5 or 10 more minutes, and then we'll be
Come
done.
here.
We'll wrap it up. But, oh, come on. You want food now? Here, let me give her food really quick.
Okay. But,
yeah, but we'll continue talking.
But what were we just saying?
We were talking about, what was it? What were we talking about? Ripley, you ruined my train of thought. Oh, jump scares.
Oh, yeah.
What was that movie with...
Those are easier to
in the
get
house.
over than...
The house, they record the house, what was going on.
Oh,
Paranormal Activity.
Oh, when it ran to this...
That had good jump scares.
Yeah.
Because it was the anticipation of you knew it was coming, you just didn't know when.
Yeah.
Also,
and that's how...
Her new anti-bladder stone food.
Woo.
She absolutely loves it.
She thinks it's
hates
delicious.
it. Yeah, but apparently she has to eat this for the rest of her life. So that she can't.
That's something I kind of liked about Longlegs, is it didn't really have jump scares, but I think that's what I liked about the camera work. It always felt like a jump scare could be around the corner.
Yeah, or like even in the scene when she's trying to decipher that message, and she sees something outside, and then goes outside, and then he's in her place.
Yeah.
And leaves that note. Like, to me, that felt like a jump scare because she's like, "What's good?" And then, and even though he was so far away and she wasn't really in any danger.
Yeah.
But you're like, "Oh, dude, he's right there." But then nothing came of it. So, but the tension stayed.
It held the tension for like the entire movie.
Yeah. So that's what I do love about I did like Longlegs more than Maxxxine.
I think I did too. Yeah. But I guess what I was so happy about with Maxxxine, and I'm sure I could critique it, but I like it as a trilogy.
Your expectations.
I like that Maxxine's there if I want to watch it. If X is there, I want to watch it. If
the
Pearl's there.
second part of this conversation, which took probably about an hour and 15 minutes to get to, is you were texting me when it came out. It might be one of, if not your favorite horror trilogy. Does it still hold up that way?
Well, I think almost. I didn't really mean horror trilogy because there's not really many trilogies. Sometimes there's 2 or there's 7.
Yeah.
But trilogies overall, I definitely would say it's one of my favorite trilogies, only in a different sense. Because I almost wouldn't compare it. I think it's an interesting trilogy that it encapsulates so many different kinds of horror.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
it's almost like the trilogy itself is like an artistic package.
Yeah.
That I really haven't seen a trilogy. It's like a new kind of trilogy. Not that I think many others would do it, but to kind of encompass an entire genre in a trilogy.
Well, the most unique. It's hard to pick which one I think. I think my favorite horror trilogy is probably Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead,
Yeah,
Day of the Dead.
Those are great. Yeah.
I think Day of the Dead is insanely underrated. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people.
We've talked about that a lot.
Yeah, I think that
a lot of people haven't even seen it.
Yeah, it's insanely underrated. And
honestly, a lot of people. I mean, I guess if you're into horror movies, you've seen it. But as far as the general public goes, I think the majority of people haven't even seen Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like that whole trilogy itself, but it's so good.
Well, didn't you say that was the first African American lead actor?
Yeah.
In a movie.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Right. It's super insane.
And it's a super low budget movie.
But it's so effective. The fucking daughter in the basement.
And
they were the slow ones, but even when they were kind of coming through the window,
those are my favorite.
It almost felt more real than when they're like screaming and like.
Well, that's what makes me love like The Thing, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Even Dawn of the Dead remake, which I actually think is really good too.
Right.
I love when there's something going on outside and they're trapped in one spot, and it's not the monster or the zombies or whatever. It's you got to be afraid of the guy next to you.
Oh yeah, when they.
That's the horror.
Right.
Because I mean, especially The Thing. We might be friends. Okay, let's not eat for a week. Mm-hmm. Throw us into the desert. Let's not eat for a week. No water.
Right.
There's a bottle of water and a steak. It's just enough for one of you to survive.
Yeah.
Would we share?
I would hope.
I would hope too.
Yeah, right.
But I've never been in that situation. You would say yes, I would totally do it.
Right.
But when you're on the cusp, because whenever you get hangry, you're not fun to be around. I'm not saying you, but everyone.
Whatever.
Just everyone in general. You're not fun to be around. You're very agitated because you're hungry.
They're like, jeez, fucking right. And then you times that by
amplified
7 days or 8 days,
amplified
9
by
days.
1,000, and then all of a sudden, you got not fun.
Yeah.
I love. The significant other has walked into the
lady has
room.
arrived.
She has. I don't know if you guys can hear, but and then my second favorite trilogy behind it, and I'm still contemplating because I love this one too, is Evil Dead. Yeah. And Evil Dead, if you're talking Maxxxine, has different. First one's a straight horror movie.
Right.
Second one is a remake, almost comedy version of horror of the
like
first one.
a musical version of the first one.
And then the third one's a straight action adventure with a little bit of horror in there. And dude, we were watching it a couple weeks ago.
That was a lot of fun.
Dude, the skeletons of the best.
Yeah. Time to get the hell out of here or whatever.
Wait, talk the castle.
That movie.
And the claymation and everything like that.
That movie's fantastic.
Those are still.
But I would agree. Yeah, those are two strong ones.
Those are probably my two favorite horror trilogies. But if we're gonna say now, let's say what's the best, and it could be 1, 2, 3, or it can just be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter. What is the best? Let's say back to back horror
1,
movie.
2?
Yeah, ever. Mine's Alien and Aliens.
Right. Yeah. I mean that's pretty strong.
Aliens is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
And then
that's hardcore.
And then Halloween 1 and Halloween 2. I absolutely love those. Even though I know a lot of people can't stand the second one as much. And just like I'll throw another curveball.
Mm-hmm.
Take the second one out. Exorcist 1, Exorcist 3.
Yeah.
Exorcist 3 is such a good movie.
I saw that
Exorcist
before
3
I moved up
is
here
so
for
underrated.
the first time.
The second one has no business being part of that trilogy.
Right.
The
third one is genuinely
excellent.
Yeah. It's so good. I would almost toss, because I kind of meant to bring it up earlier when we were talking about long ass franchises, but I'd say Saw 1 and 2.
Dude, I'll agree. The first one is such a good movie.
The first one's so good. It's so simple, and just like the plot twist. I mean, I know the franchise was all about plot twists.
That first plot twist, though, took you.
It was legendary.
Like total surprise.
You're just like, fucking what?
Yeah.
But I will say, for a sequel, the second one was a good sequel. Then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all that shit, they start really stretching for how they can keep it all connected.
Yeah.
Like, they'll be like, this pen was actually this guy's pen. But I mean, I love the Saw movies.
It's like Law and Order, Criminal Intent.
Yeah.
It's gone on for like 30 years.
Right. Because I actually really liked the Saw X that came out. The 10th one that just came out.
I saw the first 3. I missed
the third
4.
one was okay.
Which one did I see?
I like Detective Hoffman in the later ones.
You know what franchise is really weird for me?
What?
And the first one is actually a horror movie. And I guess kind of the second one. It's weird. I love the first Resident Evil movie.
Oh, right.
And it goes back to that they're trapped in this spot.
Yeah.
They got to get out. And it's the people that are actually...
Yeah.
More you have to worry about than the zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Second one, I love the city aspect. It just wasn't... It wasn't as good.
Was the second one Apocalypse?
No, the Apocalypse in the city. And they try to make it more video game.
I saw that one. I enjoyed that one.
I liked
when
it.
I saw it
but it's
on
not,
HBO when I was younger.
It's not something I'm going to like fawn over. And then the third one I think was like, the Apocalypse and sand and all that stuff. It was okay. And then after that, just was... And I kept seeing them because I had a friend that was obsessed with them.
Because there's like 7 of them, right?
Yeah, and I have 6 of them or 7 of them. And the final plot twist of the movie was...
Like in the final movie?
Dude, it just... That's what you can give me? It's like, come on, man. I invested all this money into watching these movies, and that's what you're going to give me?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like how Dexter ended. I put all this time into watching you. I bought them all on DVD. I bought every season.
Yeah, that's how I would watch them too.
And I buy them used on Amazon. So I buy them for like $5. So it wasn't like it was an insane investment. But 8 seasons, $5-6. I mean, it's like, plus shipping. You're spending like what, $60-$70?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to be entertained.
Yeah.
And then to throw me the ending of Dexter.
Yeah. That used to be my show.
Yeah. Me too.
And
that might be my favorite show from season 1 through 4.
Yeah. Season 1 through 4 just fucking worked.
It was so good. And then I think 5 is when they had a writer's strike. And then they changed over the writers. And then season 5, you can kind of tell was
5
changing.
with Lumen and
6 and then,
I always say that season ended with all his human progression stopping.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of secretly what the whole show was this serial killer kind of learning him feelings and shit.
Yeah. He was
and then they took it all away for the second half of the series.
Well, the last 2 episodes, last episode, all of his humanity. I mean, I get. Should we spoil it or should we just watch it? But
no, it's been out a long time. There's a prequel show coming out.
Spoilers, in case you want to stop. Spoilers.
For Dexter.
Deborah dies.
Oh, she does?
She dies. Do you remember she dies in the hospital?
I didn't.
And then he
decides
decides
watch the last season.
Then he decides to. That's the only thing that's been keeping him in reality.
Yeah.
Not even his kids or anything like that. I mean,
Right.
And then he had the love interest. I forget her name, but it was played by.
In the final season?
Yvonne Tchaikovsky, I think. I forget her name. Super. There we go.
Yeah.
Nice
looking
body. Yeah,
oh.
And nice face.
Ooh.
But dude gives his kid up to her, leaves everything behind, and because his sister was there, that's the only thing that was keeping him from losing it.
Yeah.
And then after, she dies, he takes her body and just decides to hop in his boat and drive towards the hurricane.
With the body?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, and then he wakes up and he's a lumberjack. And you're like,
yeah.
That's what you're going to give me?
Right.
He's a lumberjack. So, and this
like
is
having him die or something
This is how I took it. So, and this is the only way to explain to me where I actually can say, you know, it actually was a decent ending if you take it this way. Him going through the hurricane is a symbol for him. Okay, let's say he dies. Mm-hmm. Just like Dante in Dante's Inferno. He's going through purgatory. His purgatory is being the lumberjack, where he has no feelings, nor does he have any humanity. He's just a numb human being, and he will be numb for the rest of his life because that's his purgatory. He will not go to heaven or hell. He will stay in limbo for the rest of his life.
Lumberjack land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that I could think of that would actually make me from not purely hating that ending.
Yeah.
That's
but
the only
it's kind
thing.
of like what we said earlier. If you have
It's
to
such a
fucking
cop-out.
explain that, or like,
It's such a cop-out.
yeah.
But that's another thing why.
But I wonder what the new season was about. Does it take place after that?
I
On
was
New
told.
Blood?
It takes place. It's essentially season 9.
Uh-huh.
I guess it takes place like 5-10 years after or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Oh no, I think his kid actually grows up, so maybe it was like 15 years after. I was told that the ending of the new season, the one-off season, which is essentially, they say it's a spin-off. It's not a spin-off. It's essentially an add-on ninth season, is worse than season 8.
Worse?
Worse. I was told it was worse. Everything it led up to, worse. I saw the first episode because on Amazon Prime you can watch the first episode for free.
Right.
And actually it was really good.
Yeah? You're like a kind of.
And I was like, I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe this will revive the season or the series. And I was like, okay, I'll wait till it all comes out. I'll get the 7-day free trial of Showtime. Watch it all in like 2 days. Mm-hmm. Big John says, don't even worry about it.
Really?
Just don't even worry about it. You're not missing anything. And that's my problem with television. I've been burned on Game of Thrones, Dexter, X-Files, Walking Dead. I put all this time and effort into the show.
I mean, X-Files gets a little bit of a pass because it went on for so long.
Breaking Bad had a really good ending.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I wasn't absolutely blown away by the ending.
Of Breaking Bad?
Yeah, I wasn't absolutely blown.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good ending for the show.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I always like thinking of those last 2 episodes. Like the ending is the Ozymandias episode.
Yeah.
And then I like to look at the last 2 episodes as like an epilogue.
One of the best. I mean,
because it's almost like its own
season
itself. Those last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
It's like a movie.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
It is a movie.
They're supposed to be like 2-hour episodes or something on Fox or whatever it was. What was that? Fox? Was that Fox?
It was on AMC.
AMC. That's right. I think it was like 2 hours long.
Each episode?
The last episode was it or no?
No, just it was kind of like a part 1, part 2.
Yeah, that's true. It's been a while since I saw it.
But I liked it.
But the shot of it at the end, kind of the
camera
going like that.
And I like that song, the Baby Blue. I guess I got what I deserve. Do 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 do.
But again, I'm taking a break from television for a little while.
I'm actually oddly getting back into television a little bit. I mean, I was watching The Bear.
I can get in the miniseries.
Love The Bear. What?
Miniseries is my thing right now.
I like The Bear. I watched the first 5 episodes that are out right now of the last season of Cobra Kai. I enjoyed that. And then I've been trying to finish Atlanta, which I really like that. Atlanta almost has like, it almost feels like a Twilight Zone show. It's not. Like, there's a connecting story, but there will just be an entire episode where none of the main characters are in it, and there's just kind of like a strange...
Just a strange, like, one-offer?
Aspect, yeah, but it fits in everything, and I need to see, what's his name? Hiro Mura? The director of it?
I don't know.
I mean, Donald Glover created it, but just super interesting how they film it, and like some of the episodes, so fucking good.
Well, I remember we watched, what was that show on FX that came out, and I think it was supposed to be like a show about Professor Xavier. I don't remember. I don't know if it was.
Oh, Legion?
Yeah.
Legion was pretty solid. I eventually stopped watching it.
Aubrey
Plaza's in it.
Yeah, I just...
Mamma Mia.
Just like American Horror Story, I liked the first season a lot. It's too jumpy for me.
The editing got super abstract. Well, like, which I'm not against.
I'm not either, but if you're doing it all the time,
it felt a bit much.
When you're watching a movie that's like that, okay, it's one movie for hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it for an entire show or entire season, sometimes I just want to watch a linear story.
Mm-hmm.
And as I have gotten older, I find myself, the movies I go back to all the time are the ones that are more linear. But also, my favorite movies aren't really that linear. Mm-hmm. It's the strangest thing.
Yeah, right.
Like The Shining, it's a linear story, but is it really a linear story?
Right. Or like fucking 2001.
Do that, yeah.
Like that.
Is that a linear story?
I mean, I guess it is.
It's like 3 stories in one, though.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's like... So you have
But it doesn't really, other than
first half hour.
Like,
first half hour is a silent film. There's no talking.
Yeah, with monkeys and.
And then all of a sudden you're on a spacecraft. So there's and then there's an hour on a spacecraft.
With Hal.
Well, first I think the dude flies. They're flying on a plane, like a commercial plane, to show like how we've transitioned. And then all of a sudden it cuts to these astronauts finding the monolith, and then like and then they. Yeah, and then there's the space station part where Hal, so that's three movies. And then there's the space sequence. And then...
fucking Poseidon, tripping balls, whatever.
That lasts for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then there's the last sequence where he's not like aging, and he lurks over there. Oh, there's some guy over there, and it's him older. And then he looks over there, it's another guy older. And then he looks over there, oh, he's in bed dying. And then at the end, there's a fucking baby in the space.
In space, yeah.
And you're like, what did I just watch?
Yeah, but it does seem to go.
It does.
In a weird, fucked up way. It doesn't seem to be like, wait, what's happening now?
But
I mean, you're saying that, but it does feel like these things
came
next.
I mean, if you're taking just an actual story, where, like, let's say Hal, where it goes from here to here, Hal is only in the movie, for maybe like an hour and 20 minutes?
Yeah.
It's a very small movie.
I mean, he's like the memorable...
And he just has...
Probably the most memorable aspect of it.
The beginning movie chunk, and then there's the end movie chunk, and then there's the middle.
Yeah.
There's chunks. It's like 6 chunks in one.
Yeah. I think, speaking of pacing, I mean, we're just...
Talking.
All fucking, yeah.
This is going to be like a 2-hour episode.
Yeah, but the pacing of, if something's going to be kind of non-linear, Memento has such good pacing.
Backwards.
Yeah. It's backwards while still kind of being like...
It goes to here, and then it cuts, and then it goes back, and then it goes into the last scene from before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's... I don't know how you did that without messing up. It sounds a lot easier.
Right.
It sounds easy to do, just film it and just do it in reverse, but my God, you have to you have to trust, you have to write the story and then put it backwards, and if it doesn't work...
I think we've pulled it up before, but have you ever seen the movie, it was made, were they MIT students or quantum physics, Primer?
No. It's
like known as like the closest to what time travel would actually be. Oh, you should see it. It has such a weird feeling to it. It's like these 2 scientists make this like box, that has like entrance A and entrance B or exit or some shit. Like you need to pull up the fucking graph for it to be explained. They say like because they're like MIT students who made the movie or whatever they are, that it's like the closest to what it would be, and like shit just kind of starts like they'll go in with like the stocks or like racing things and they're like, well, let's test this.
Yeah.
But then the way it works, you just have to see it. But it's one of those movies where like all of a sudden like there's a scene where some dude just kind of shows up yelling, and like you start not realizing what's going on because one of them must have been on a loop and you don't know what loop it is, and like it's strange. It's very simply shot.
Let me look.
Yeah, look up Primer.
So I wonder what's it on.
It was on Netflix at one point.
Let me see. Primer. Oh my God, my cousin's wife is asking us about Thanksgiving already. So Primer. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Primer. It is. Oh, you have to rent it on. You have to rent it on Prime. 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you know what?
Right. Have you ever seen? Also, speaking of, that's not so much. Primer movie.
I put it on my list.
Graph.
It's probably the most complicated thing you've ever seen.
You saw the.
No, I
Oh. Yeah, you can find detailed explanation timeline. It's like.
Dear God. Well, that's like in Donnie Darko. You remember Donnie Darko? Oh my God, look at that.
That graph. And
Jesus.
something like that, yeah. But there's.
Well, that.
it takes
like,
graphs, and you're reading, and you're like.
That's like. Have you ever seen? What did I just say? I just lost my train of thought.
Movie.
I forget what I said. They know because I said it. Now I don't know what I just said. What the hell did I just say?
Rewind. I don't know.
To rewind.
Well, I don't know. We were kind of talking about pacing. I was going to bring up just as like another horror movie, even though this hasn't encapsulated horror tightly, which is totally fine. But have you ever seen the movie Triangle?
No. That's
also like a horror kind of slasher, time sci-fi strange movie where they I think they're on a raft, but they happen to be in the Bermuda Triangle, and they find like an empty cruise ship.
Yeah.
And there's somebody with just a sack on their head killing them off.
Yeah.
But then it gets
crazy.
Really fucking crazy. That's a loop. But I think, how long have we talked now?
Probably,
we should probably you said you're
hour and 45 minutes.
heading
probably.
out at 7?
Something like that. But I guess put a on this episode. I think for me, I don't know. I think horror might be. It's one of my favorite genres, if not my favorite genre.
Yeah, I go through phases.
Some of my favorite movies.
Where like sometimes
are
I just
want
to see the fucking craziest
like
horror movie. Yeah,
Thing, Shining, Exorcist,
Jaws.
Fucking, those are some of my favorite movies of all time. Terminator, the first Terminator.
Right.
I mean, the
first one
is a legit horror movie.
Yeah, it's like a slasher, especially, dude, that fucking end scene with the stop motion Terminator. Like, he's fucking scary.
Yeah.
In the dark warehouse.
Yeah.
And it's just a robot. Like,
and then you
see T2 or the other ones, and it's all just like.
Alien is a horror movie.
Yeah.
Aliens is an action horror.
It's action, but that scene with the face hugger in like the lab room, and they're like hiding, and it's just like.
It's terrifying.
That's you're just like. Ugh.
And even Predator, the first half is an action movie, and then the second half is a straight slasher movie.
Yeah.
The alien, the Predator is just
picking people off,
murking people.
Yeah.
And so I think some of my favorite movies of all time are horror movies. So I think
you almost could even toss RoboCop as a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's not, but if you
like
show it to a 10-year-old, they could be like,
Yeah.
We could definitely revisit this genre.
I think we can. There's stuff that we didn't get to
Yeah,
talk
I mean, there's
about.
so much, and we talked about a bunch of other things, but this definitely counts as, you're going to put it up all as one thing?
1.5 episodes.
Yeah, yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
But
I think
that works.
I think that's good. I think the easel is telling us to,
wrap
for
it up.
using the easel as a, the painting, is it easel?
Easel, yes.
Yeah, I always, for some reason, think it's something else. But the painting easel, it's telling us to wrap it up because it's. Okay, side note, Wicker Man.
Oh yeah,
The original one.
Yeah, you said you really liked that.
We need to watch that.
I need to see that.
Next time we'll watch a horror movie
Mm.
and talk about it, and then get into more horror things. But this is our Shooting the Fire. I'm Greg.
Pop pop. I'm Derrick.
Till next time.
Bye.
What a wonderful day.
What a wonderful day.